Welcome to today's episode of English Radio Podcast. I am your host, Alex, and today we explore one of the most fascinating topics in modern science and daily life: how to keep your brain young. We often think aging is only physical, but the brain also changes over time. Joining me is our special guest, Sara, a cognitive wellness researcher who studies memory, focus, and emotional resilience. Together, we will uncover practical ways to maintain mental sharpness and long-lasting cognitive vitality. Sara, thank you for joining us today. Many listeners are curious about brain aging and whether it can truly be slowed down or even improved. People often feel powerless when they hear the word aging, but recent studies suggest the brain remains adaptable throughout life. In your research, what is the most important factor that influences brain health over time? Is it genetics, lifestyle, or daily habits? I am excited for you to share science-based strategies with our audience today.
The most important factor for keeping the brain young is not one single element, but a combination of lifestyle choices. Sleep quality, nutrition, mental stimulation, and emotional balance all work together. The brain is like a muscle. If you use it regularly in meaningful ways, it strengthens over time. However, if someone lives without challenges or learning, cognitive decline can happen faster. The good news is that small daily habits can significantly improve long-term brain performance. Many people underestimate the power of sleep when it comes to cognitive health. Sleep directly affects memory, focus, and brain aging. Some people believe sleeping less gives them more productive hours, but research shows the opposite is true. During deep sleep, the brain clears toxins and processes daily information. Without enough rest, thinking becomes slower, emotions become unstable, and long-term cognitive health may decline. Prioritizing sleep is essential for maintaining a young and active brain. Sleep is not just rest. It is active maintenance for the brain. During deep sleep, memory consolidation occurs, meaning experiences are stored for long-term use. The brain reorganizes information and strengthens neural connections. Without enough sleep, this process is disrupted, leading to poor concentration, weak memory, and emotional imbalance. Chronic sleep deprivation can accelerate brain aging even in young individuals and reduce cognitive performance significantly over time. Nutrition also plays a major role in brain health, but there is no single miracle food. The brain needs consistent nutrients such as omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Foods like fish, nuts, fruits, and vegetables support brain function by reducing inflammation and improving neuron communication. However, consistency matters more than occasional superfoods. A balanced diet over time creates the best environment for long-term cognitive health and mental sharpness. Many people believe brain health comes from shortcuts, but real improvement requires consistency. Mental stimulation is essential. Learning new skills, solving problems, or practicing creative activities builds new neural pathways in the brain. This process is called neuroplasticity. It helps the brain stay flexible and resistant to age-related decline. People who continuously challenge their minds tend to maintain stronger memory, better focus, and higher cognitive performance throughout life.
That is incredibly insightful. It seems the brain truly thrives on challenge and learning. Sara, many listeners wonder if stress has a positive or negative impact on brain aging. Some stress is unavoidable in daily life, but can the way we respond to stress influence how our brain ages over time? I believe this is a critical part of the conversation that many people overlook in their daily routines and emotional management strategies.
Stress itself is not always harmful, but chronic and unmanaged stress is damaging to the brain. When stress becomes constant, it increases cortisol levels, which can affect memory and emotional regulation. However, people who learn to manage stress effectively can actually build resilience. Techniques such as mindfulness, deep breathing, and structured routines help protect the brain from long-term damage. The key is not avoiding stress completely, but learning how to respond to it in a healthy way.
Before we continue into the deeper discussion about emotional control and long-term mental clarity, I want to remind our listeners that if you are finding value in this conversation, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your thoughts. Your support helps us continue producing meaningful discussions like this. In the next section, we will explore emotional intelligence, habits, and how daily mindset choices directly shape brain aging and cognitive longevity.
Emotional intelligence plays a crucial role in keeping the brain young. When people understand and manage their emotions effectively, they reduce unnecessary mental stress. This helps the brain function more efficiently over time. Emotional awareness also improves decision-making and relationships, which indirectly supports cognitive health. People who react impulsively often experience more stress and mental fatigue. Learning to pause before reacting gives the brain time to process information calmly, which protects long-term emotional and cognitive balance. One of the most powerful habits for brain health is learning emotional control. When you do not react immediately to every situation, you give your brain space to evaluate reality more accurately. This reduces impulsive decisions and prevents unnecessary stress responses. Over time, this habit strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic and planning. People who practice emotional control tend to feel more stable, think more clearly, and maintain better mental health as they age. Another important factor is social interaction. Humans are deeply social beings, and isolation can negatively affect brain health. Regular conversations, friendships, and meaningful connections stimulate multiple areas of the brain. Social engagement improves memory, reduces stress, and increases emotional resilience. Studies show that people with strong social networks tend to experience slower cognitive decline. Even simple daily interactions, like talking to a friend or colleague, can significantly contribute to long-term brain vitality and emotional balance. Physical activity also plays a key role in brain aging. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients essential for cognitive function. It also stimulates the release of chemicals that support mood and memory. Regular movement, even walking, has been shown to improve focus and reduce risk of cognitive decline. A sedentary lifestyle, on the other hand, can accelerate brain aging and reduce mental sharpness over time. What is interesting is that the brain responds quickly to lifestyle changes. Even small improvements in daily habits can lead to noticeable cognitive benefits. People often believe that aging means decline is unavoidable, but research shows the brain remains adaptable throughout life. This adaptability means it is never too late to start building healthier habits. Whether someone is young or older, the brain can still form new connections and improve its performance.
That is very encouraging. It means people are not stuck with the brain they currently have, and change is always possible. Sarah, many listeners struggle with consistency. They start healthy habits but cannot maintain them long term. What strategies can help someone stay consistent with brain-healthy routines without feeling overwhelmed or discouraged over time?
Consistency comes from simplicity. People often fail because they try to change everything at once. Instead, small and realistic habits are more effective. For example, reading for 10 minutes daily, walking regularly, or practicing short mindfulness exercises. When habits are easy, the brain is more likely to repeat them. Over time, repetition builds automatic behavior, which reduces effort and increases long-term success in maintaining brain health. Another key strategy is environment design. If your surroundings support healthy behavior, it becomes easier to stay consistent. For example, keeping books visible encourages reading, while reducing distractions supports focus. The brain responds strongly to environmental cues, often more than motivation alone. By shaping your environment, you reduce resistance and make healthy choices more automatic. This is one of the most effective but often overlooked strategies for long-term brain health. Stress management is also essential for consistency. When people feel overwhelmed, they often abandon good habits. Learning to manage stress through breathing, rest, and balanced routines helps maintain stability. A calm brain is more likely to make rational decisions and stick to long-term goals. Over time, reducing stress improves not only mental health, but also cognitive performance and emotional resilience.
This has been an incredibly valuable discussion so far. We have explored emotions, habits, lifestyle, and consistency. Before we continue into the final section about long-term brain protection and aging myths, I want to remind our listeners once again to subscribe and leave a comment sharing what you have learned or plan to change in your daily life. Your engagement helps us grow and continue producing meaningful content like this.
Another important concept in brain health is purpose. People who have a clear sense of purpose in life tend to maintain stronger cognitive function as they age. Purpose gives the brain direction and motivation, which encourages daily engagement with meaningful activities. Without purpose, the mind can become passive and less stimulated. Studies show that having goals, even small ones, helps maintain memory, focus, and emotional stability over time, contributing to long-term brain vitality. Curiosity is another powerful factor in keeping the brain young. When people stay curious, they continuously seek new information and experiences. This activates multiple brain regions and strengthens neural connections. Curiosity drives learning and exploration, which protects against cognitive decline. Even simple habits like asking questions, reading about new topics, or trying new activities can significantly stimulate the brain and keep it active over time. Another key point is emotional flexibility. Life is full of unexpected changes, and the ability to adapt emotionally helps protect the brain from long-term stress. People who resist change often experience more anxiety and mental strain. On the other hand, those who accept change and adjust their mindset tend to stay mentally healthier. Emotional flexibility supports resilience, reduces stress hormones, and improves overall cognitive stability. Digital habits also influence brain aging. Excessive screen time, constant notifications, and multitasking can overload the brain and reduce focus. However, mindful use of technology can be beneficial. The key is balance. Using digital tools for learning and creativity supports brain function, while uncontrolled consumption can lead to mental fatigue and reduced attention span over time. Another important factor is emotional recovery. The brain needs time to recover from stress, challenges, and emotional experiences. Without recovery, mental fatigue builds up and affects decision making and memory. Activities like rest, relaxation, hobbies, and time in nature help restore mental balance. Recovery is not laziness. It is an essential part of maintaining long-term brain health and cognitive performance.
That is a very important reminder. Many people today feel guilty when they rest, thinking they should always be productive. But it seems that recovery is actually part of productivity. Sarah, how can people balance ambition and rest in a healthy way without feeling like they are falling behind in life or losing progress toward their goals?
Balance comes from understanding that the brain cannot perform at maximum level all the time. Productivity cycles naturally include effort and recovery phases. People should schedule rest just like they schedule work. When rest becomes intentional, it no longer feels like wasted time. Instead, it becomes part of a sustainable system that supports long-term performance and prevents burnout. Another helpful strategy is self-reflection. Taking time to evaluate your thoughts, habits, and emotional patterns helps you understand how your brain is functioning. Reflection improves self-awareness, which is strongly linked to better decision-making and emotional control. People who reflect regularly tend to make healthier choices and avoid repeating negative patterns that can harm mental health over time. Gratitude is also strongly connected to brain health. Practicing gratitude shifts attention toward positive experiences and reduces stress responses. This helps regulate emotional balance and improves overall mental well-being. Studies show that gratitude practices can increase happiness and reduce anxiety, which indirectly supports brain longevity. Even small daily reflections on positive moments can have long-lasting effects on cognitive and emotional health.
This conversation has been incredibly insightful, and we are approaching the final part of our discussion. Before we move forward, I want to remind our listeners one more time to subscribe and share their thoughts in the comments. In the final section, we will summarize everything and talk about practical steps anyone can start using immediately to protect and improve their brain health. Sarah, before we go into the final insights, I want to step back and look at the big picture. We talked about sleep, nutrition, stress, emotions, and habits. If you had to choose only one starting point for someone who feels overwhelmed and wants to improve brain health today, what would you recommend as the very first practical step they should take starting tomorrow morning?
The best first step is improving sleep consistency. Not perfection, but regularity. Going to bed and waking up at similar times trains the brain's internal clock, improves memory, and stabilizes mood. Once sleep becomes stable, everything else becomes easier to manage, including focus, emotional control, and energy levels throughout the day.
That is surprisingly simple but powerful. Many people underestimate how much sleep alone can change everything. Sarah, another question I often hear is about memory loss fear. People worry about forgetting things as they age. How much of normal memory decline is actually preventable, and how much is simply a natural part of aging that we should accept calmly?
Some memory change is natural with age, but a large part of cognitive decline is not inevitable. Lifestyle factors like sleep, stress, diet, and mental activity play a major role in determining brain health. Many cases of memory problems are related to neglect of these areas rather than unavoidable aging. This means people have significant control over how their brain ages.
That completely changes the way we think about aging. Instead of seeing it as something passive, it becomes something we can actively influence. Sarah, let me ask you this. If someone in their 40s, 50s, or even 60s starts applying these principles seriously, how quickly can they realistically expect to see improvements in focus, memory, or mental clarity?
Improvements can begin within weeks, especially in attention and energy levels. Sleep and stress reduction often show the fastest results. Memory and deeper cognitive changes take longer, usually months of consistency. The brain responds gradually, but it is highly adaptive at any age. The key is patience and persistence rather than expecting instant transformation.
That is very encouraging for anyone listening who feels it might be too late to change. Sarah, before we close, I want you to summarize this entire conversation in a simple message. If you had to give one final powerful idea that captures everything we discussed about keeping the brain young, what would it be?
The brain stays young when it is consistently challenged, cared for, and supported. Small daily habits shape long-term cognitive health more than rare big changes. Sleep, movement, learning, emotional balance, and connection all work together. There is no single secret, only consistent care over time.
That is a powerful closing message. I think what stands out most is that people have far more control over their brain health than they realize. It is not about perfection, but direction. Small, consistent actions can completely change long-term outcomes. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your insights today and helping us understand this topic so clearly. And to all our listeners, thank you for staying with us until the end of this episode. If you found value in this discussion, make sure to subscribe, share it with someone who might benefit, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Remember, your brain is not fixed. It is constantly changing based on how you live every day. Take care of it, and it will take care of you.